You were talking about alignment, is something really still in alignment with where you are. And, a lot of times we're evolving every day with everything that we're doing, new people that we meet, everything really helps us to evolve. And can you, if you have things that are in your life that are not aligned to where you need to go.
Welcome to the Share the Wealth Show, where minority professionals can learn to escape the racial wealth gap and catapult themselves into abundance. Your host, Nicole Pendergrass, grew her net worth from being negative to multiple six figures. Join her on her investigative mission to expose secret strategies of the wealthy so we can all have the tools needed to build the life and legacy we were created to possess. Now it's time for the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Share the Wealth Show. This is the show where we discuss strategies on how to build, grow, and protect minority wealth. And today, I have the pleasure of having with me Miss Sonya Rocvil. Oh my goodness, me and Sonya really go out back a ton of years, and I don't want to age us, but a long time ago, we met in the New York City RIA when I was still trying to be a wholesaler, and I failed miserably at that. But anyway, that's neither here or there. Thank you, Sonya, for agreeing to come on the show today. I'm really excited to talk to you and have your story shared with everybody.
Nicole, it's wonderful to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me. This is really a treat.
Of course, yay! Okay. I don't even know if I should start there because me and Sonya were having a pre-recording conversation and I'm like, why are we not recording? This needs to be during the recording. So I might change it up a little bit just because I want to continue that conversation or rehash it so that everyone can hear. This is something that I think is very applicable to a lot of people in their lives. We were talking about letting things go and deciding, like doing the deep work and what's busy work, what don't you need to be doing, what's in alignment versus what's not in alignment, and kind of like how to juggle all of that. I didn't have any answers. I'm still struggling with it. I don't know, Sonya, do you have any answers, suggestions, insight on? It's like we could just start re-talking about that. I could talk about that forever.
Yeah, I don't know if I have all the answers, but it's definitely something that I think about and some things that I've been trying to work on personally for myself. I think that throughout my career, one of the things that I've always liked to do is volunteer or sign up for things because it's a great way to meet people and you learn so much, and you also you just feel blessed to be able to give back to groups and organizations that have supported you or you can support, but sometimes it adds up. A lot of times it adds up, and then soon it's like you're picking up a lot of things that you have on your plate. Then you also have your children and your children's activities and other things that you have to do, and then you're thinking about your professional career, and then your evenings get tied up because you have meetups and all of these things, and then all of a sudden all of these things that you've been kind of carrying you for a long time, or you've been carrying around with you for a long time, it becomes challenging because you have to make a decision. Can I continue to do this? Should I continue to do this? Or is it time to transition and move on? And that's been a big part of some of the things that I've been working on over the past year or so, to just try to evaluate those things. Nicole, you brought up a great point in our pre-call when we were talking about, you were talking about alignment. Is something really still in alignment with where you are? And, a lot of times we're evolving every day with everything that we're doing, new people that we meet, everything really helps us to evolve. And can you, if you have things that are in your life that are not aligned to where you need to go?
Preaching is not Sunday, but this is like a whole sermon, at least for my soul. So yes, alignment. And the thing I like what that you said about that is that we grow and change, right? As we get older, we have more experiences, as we, get to, just wiser and work on ourselves personally, we change. So things that we thought were in alignment before may become out of alignment, or in our sophomoric ways previously, we might have picked things that we thought were in alignment, but without really doing that deep work to know if it really was. And maybe those things we picked were because we thought it sounded good or looked good to the external world, but we never did the work to really make sure that it was like, because everybody wants to feel like they're a good person and they're doing things altruistically, and it's not all about the money and all the stuff, which is great, but sometimes it's a little bit is. Like, you need some money, you want a better lifestyle, your lifestyle creep, all that kind of stuff. And that's not bad, but because you want what you're doing to look good to everybody, you take on tasks that may be dragging you down or holding you back. And that's another thing you said, like, if you're holding on to things that you previously thought were in alignment, you can't move forward because you're still holding on to those other things. You're not letting go to make room for new things. So
yeah, making the room. I love that part that you just said there, because because it's only a limited amount of space, right? You only have this limited amount of space in your mind, and if you keep cramming things in there, or there's other things, you're not going to be able to function at your best. I was talking to one of my really good friends about this the decision about whether or not to continue to work on something. And her question to me was, will they be getting the best of you? Ooh. And that was a big pause moment, because it made me realize that was such a lens to kind of unpack things, because it was, okay, I don't think they will be, because I need to be working on these other things. So I'm actually doing them a disservice. And so, it makes more sense for me to move on and transition than to try to hold on thinking I'm helping them, but then I'm really not, because it's just so it's so complex. And then the other thing you said about trying to improve your lifestyle, or trying to like kind of also help yourself, when you go on a plane, they tell you, if the oxygen mask comes down,
I
you need to put that on first, because you can't help anybody if you're not okay. You can't help somebody else. So those are just other things that that it's life experience, it's wisdom, it's just having some clarity sometimes, and sometimes it's just breakthrough clarity. Like, sometimes it's just like you're doing something and you're like, why am I doing this? But it's like a breakthrough, and you have to kind of capture those moments, because it's your inner self telling you you should do next.
Oh my gosh. And where my mind went, we're talking about this and what you were saying, because yes, does that apply to like business and entrepreneurship and growing your own self, being financially well, all that? Yes. But I was just like, my mind with like bringing the best of yourself, like, are they getting the best of you? My mind goes to like motherhood, because there's so much, especially, in every culture, but especially in our cultures, like African-American, minority, that kind of thing. It's like the way you show love is, because we didn't have a lot of things, the way you show love is by doing more for them and giving them everything you never had, which I don't even agree if that's like the best strategy anyway, because giving somebody everything you never had just makes a spoiled child, I feel like. Like, you can still give them more than enough, but without purposefully giving them everything. But anyway, that's a whole nother tangent. But I'm just thinking of like, I have on my vision board, I went to a vision board party the other weekend. It was really good. But one of the things that I definitely stood out to me and I pasted on was like, self-care is not selfish. And I was just thinking of that, and I don't know why I went to like the beliefs or the expectation that as a mother, you're supposed to sacrifice all of yourself and give away everything for your kids. And I don't know if that's like, that's super against the grain to say anything otherwise, right? But it's like, I think if you give everything and you leave nothing for yourself, you grow old into an older woman when your kids leave the house who has nothing and has no life because you gave everything to your kids and you didn't do anything for yourself outside of raising them. Like there has to be a balance, right? Like you said, if you are not taking care of yourself, how are you showing up the best that you can for them, like as the best mother possible?
Listen, I know you've been digging in, studying everything you can, listening to all the podcasts, reading all the books, even going to meetups. You basically have a degree from YouTube University, right? But you still feel stuck. You don't know how to actually implement what you've learned. You're nervous about taking the next step. So I've decided to start the Microfamily Investing Accelerator. This is a mentorship program where I personally guide you through my 5 proprietary pillars so you can learn how to buy your first commercial multifamily property and scale while not biting off more than you can chew by focusing on 5 to 20 units. That's what I call microfamily. And so you can also get hands-on guidance from an experienced microfamily investor who's been right where you are. And so you can also create the cash flow needed to give you freedom and options to build the abundant life that you were destined to live. So I'll be limiting the first cohort because they'll have direct access to me and I will be heavily invested in their success. If you're ready to grab 2023 by the horns, schedule a free discovery call with me today. The link is in the show notes. And now let's get back to the show.
So because I'm really struggling.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, and it is because it is such a relevant thing to talk about, Nicole, because especially as a mother with young children, they're very demanding. They need a lot. They do need a lot because they're just learning. And you want to be there for them all of the time. And I know, some people are very fortunate to have, grandparents or family members that are nearby and can sometimes help out. And, if you have that, use it, because that just helps. And they're also learning from another family member too, which is great. But it's really tough because you can't have nothing left for yourself. And it's something that I've also been learning too. It's not something that I have figured out, but what I do know is it's really tough to give away all of yourself. And then when I think about where am I spending my time, I also have to trade that off with, listen, if I'm at that thing every evening, that means I'm not spending that evening with my children, and I want to spend that time with my children. And so that's why I had to make some other choices of scaling other things back, because it was intersecting with that time too.
Yeah. And that's exactly, and I was going to say that too. One of those things in the evenings after work, there's always a ton of meetups. And I know the year of 2020, when COVID happened and everything was like virtual, I was just on like, there's a meetup every day of the week. Like you could just be constantly on meetups. And at first, I don't know, I just had so much energy for it. And I was here and I was like, would rather be on the meetup and was sacrificing that time with the kids. I was trying to put them to bed while I'm on the meetup on Zoom with my earphones in and telling them to be quiet, trying to half read a story, half not. But like, I wasn't showing up as my best then. And like, I've gotten to the point where I think I'm like online meetup exhausted. And so, and then also with me trying to get their schedule in place, and I'm getting home at a certain time and I only have like an hour with them because I get home late. So I only have an hour with them before I have to put them to bed. And that hour is always when meetups are. And so I have started, months ago, I haven't been at meetups. It's just too difficult, or not too difficult, but I just make that decision to scale those back because at least during that hour that I'm home, I can at least try to spend some time with them. If there's really important call or something I have to do one-off, I'll do that. But for the most part, like on a consistent basis, I'm not doing things in that hour. I put them to bed, and then I use that time after they're in bed to try to spend 2-3 hours of quiet time to do some other real estate work. So if your meetup ain't at 9 o'clock at night, I'm sorry, I can't make it.
That was a very thoughtful process that you had to go through, Nicole, to do that. And I totally get you on that, because I feel that same way with a lot of things I had to also scale back on in the evening, so that I did have that time.
Yeah. Okay. So we did our self deep work publicly for a while, but that was a good conversation. I needed that, like, especially speaking with another, minority mom, entrepreneur, real estate investor. We go through the same things. And I don't think it's a conversation that's had a lot, like at least on a public forum where people can kind of relate to knowing that everybody goes through this kind of transition. So I think, you're not supposed to pick a word for the year, like your theme for the year. I've been trying to figure out what mine is for this year. And it might be transition, because I need to transition into like letting go of things, bringing on only the things that I really want, and like really just focusing. So it's you say you were working on it for like a year. So this is not like a quick, easy process. You make a decision and snap your fingers and it's done. No, it like takes time to really figure that out and start implementing. But in any case,
absolutely. And then you do want to transition things as best as you can too. In other words, like, so if you're going to be going off of something and you had a responsibility, you want to help to find the next person, or to help the organization pick up where you left off, so they can carry on. Yes. As best as you can, and with a timeline, so that you're not stressed out doing it.
So you're not just forever doing it.
Right.
Oh man. Okay. So here goes the beginning of the show, where I tell everyone your bio, but who you are, if people do not know you already. So Sonya is the principal and founder of Bedrock Real Estate Investors, a privately owned real estate company specializing in acquisitions and asset management of multifamily apartment buildings in the United States. She has syndicated and operated multifamily deals totaling 462 units and valued over $25 million. And Sonya has successfully life cycled 4 apartment complexes. Nice. She also is an equity partner in multifamily investments totaling 438 units valued at $28.7 million. Whoa, I love it. Okay, you started your transition at a Fortune 500 company. You were a CPA before, right?
Yes, I still have my license.
You still have your license. Okay. And then you have been the adjunct instructor at NYU School of Professional Studies. You have a bunch of masters. Your CPA, real estate agent in New York, and a graduate of Project REAP, Real Estate Associate Program. I always wanted to do REAP, and I just never, it's always comes around when I'm like, oh, do I really have the time to do it? I don't know. Was it worth it?
It was great. It was great. And I would definitely recommend it. When I went, they had all in-person classes. So it was in person. It was here in New York, and it's national, so it is in different cities. But one of the leaders of the group at the time said that one of the things that you're going to see is that while you're going to learn a lot from the people who are the different leaders in the industry speaking and giving you insight and knowledge, you're really going to get the most from the people that you're in the class with. And I really found that to be true. I met some phenomenal people that are still, I'm still friends with and colleagues with today. And, it's really a great organization. So I highly recommend it.
Okay, cool. I like that. And that's the thing too, when I saw it, it was turning into virtual because of COVID. Yeah. And I thought that I would get more benefit from it, from being in person, because then I could actually meet the other classmates, and you establish a relationship that's different than being online. Not everyone is seeing. I didn't know how that would be set up, but I will definitely keep looking into that because it's something I'm still interested in. But anyway,
That's great.
This is about you and your journey. So tell me, how did you did so much, and I'm just so impressed by your portfolio, what you've accomplished so far, like, and all the things you've had to overcome to get to where you're at today. How did you change from CPA into getting into multifamily investments? Like, what was that journey like? Kind of, how did your eyes get open to these as a possibility?
Yeah, well, I'll start off by saying it was a long journey. I started out in accounting. I went to an audit firm, and I realized that even though I got my license, I didn't want to be a partner at a CPA firm. I just saw the road ahead, and I didn't think that was the path for me. So I moved, and I spent the most of my career at a Fortune 500 company. Great. I learned a lot. I started just looking around more and reading some books, and got interested in real estate, but wasn't sure how I would be making a switch or change into that. But I had a great run at that company, and then there were changes that happened there, and my whole group and myself, we were all laid off because of the changes that were happening. And it really gave me a chance to take a step back and think, okay, what do I really want to do next? Like, what I really want to do next, because I could just go to a competitor and, go to another company. But I really had some positive energy around me, especially my husband is like, look, this is maybe the time for you to look at real estate, because this is what you've been talking about that you wanted to do, and now you have the time to do it. And so that's what I did. I jumped in. I joined the RIA. I joined a multifamily investing group that was based in Long Island. And that's where, coupled with Project REAP, that really helped to open my eyes to multifamily. And it made so much sense to me. I grew up in an apartment building for a lot of my childhood, and it just, the economies of scale just made sense. And but I didn't know how I was going to do it. And so by joining that group and finding joint venture partners there, that's how I was able to kind of really propel my next steps, because I was able to learn and then be hands-on and analyzing deals. And so that's how I started. And it was a really great opportunity to work with a great group of people in Georgia. And then after we sold everything there, I pivoted and moved to a different market. And so now I'm in the Birmingham market.
Okay. So what I really like people to hear stories and understand kind of what the pathway is and how they could potentially replicate it, or like similarities. Like if they're coming from a W-2, maybe they did or didn't get laid off, or they're looking for that transition and how to get started. So you didn't know how to get started. You joined the group. After joining the group, what was your first investment together with your joint venture partners? Like, what did that look like? Where did the capital come from? All of that.
So my very first investment, actually through that joint venture group, though, was as a passive investor in somebody else's multifamily deal. And I really wasn't going to have a deal right away, but was excited to get involved in a transaction quickly. And at the time, there were people who had deals that I knew from the group, and I thought this could be a great opportunity. So I used my self-directed IRA. I didn't really know much about that. When you're in a W-2, it's not an option, something that you think about, but it was a good opportunity for me to leverage that to invest in those deals. And that's how I started my journey, because it helped me think about what are the markets and what's the strategy that they're doing. And then it gave me something to talk about when I was talking to brokers. Because while I couldn't say that these deals are mine, I didn't say that. I said, I'm an investor in these deals, and these are the markets, and this is what I like about the deals that I'm in, and I'm looking for something similar to that. You can kind of leverage the learnings that you're getting from being in those deals as a passive investor to kind of parlay that to your, to people in your network, brokers. And then very shortly after that, the people in my network who ended up being investors in my deal as well. So they could see that I was building up a different type of track record. So, you have your business experience or your school or whatever, experience that you're coming in with, and that's great. But then I needed something to be able to talk about multifamily and why I was investing in it, and why I was asking other people to be a passive investor like I was, another deal. So that's what I thought was very important for me to help to establish a little bit of credibility, at least in the beginning. So that was the first investment. And then for the very first deal, it was a syndication, meaning that my joint venture partner and I, we were pulling together our respective investors to have them be participants in the deal. And it took, we had like just enough money to close. It was tough, that very first raise. And then very shortly after, we got the rest of the money. But I remember that, like, okay, we were like on the phone, like, do we have enough? And we did. And then we were quickly able to get the rest of it so that we'd have enough for our reserves and everything like that. And that was it ended up being a really great deal. And it was great that it was the first deal, and all the people who took the chance, who took the chance and said, all right, let me see what this is about. And it was great. We did really well. And then we moved on to the next deal, and 3 other deals in total after that first one. Nice. In Georgia.
Okay, guys, don't kill me, but I'm going to have to cut this episode short. This is too juicy, and we need to do this in a part 2. So stay tuned for the next episode that airs, and you can hear the rest of our conversation.
Did you love this episode of Share the Wealth Show? Be sure to connect with Nicole by following her on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook. If you picked up any of the gems that were dropped by today's guest, make sure you not only put them in your bag, but if you know of someone who would benefit from this information, don't keep it to yourself. Share the wealth, and make sure to leave us a rating and review. We'll see you for next week's episode. Subscribe so you'll be notified.